of the Free Thought Forum, brought to you by the friendly folks at Pennsylvania Non-Believers, Inc. We are a 501c3 organization, so any money that you donate will be tax deductible. Tonight we have a number of things that we should be interesting to you, but in the meantime, this is Jacob, our co-host, and me, I'm your host, Doug. But Jacob is now going to tell you about upcoming events and future shows. Take it away.
Right. Yeah, I got a few things coming up. Our normal meetups, Lancaster will be held on March the 25th. Our next month, our York meeting will be held on April 4th. And if there aren't that many people there, it's probably because they're at the American Atheist Convention in Memphis. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're going to have a live stream for that this year or not. Be sure to keep your eye on that. Lebanon will be on April 8th, and Harrisburg will be on the 9th, and then we've got Chambersburg on the 21st. Our first table of the year, as normal, will be on May 10th, which is Mother's Day, right here in York. Always a pretty positive event, quite a big event too to go to.
Say hooray for Mother.
Yes. But our next Free Thought Forum will be on April 14th, and on that episode we'll be taking a look at the historicity of Jesus. And then another announcement we have is as at PA Non-Believers, we like to promote other organizations here in Pennsylvania. We've done a bit with, say, like the Lancaster Free Thought Society, but another organization out of Lancaster is called ASK, which is Atheist Skepticism Knowledge, and they will be holding an event also on Easter Sunday, which is which is on April 5th at 5 p.m. in downtown Lancaster. Which they'll just be having a happy hour, pretty much just going out, having a good time on the town. But if you want more information of that, they have a meetup website at meetup.com/askusnow, and also on their Facebook, and you can also email them at ask@atheist.com. So if you're interested in that, going out and help. And ASK in general, ASK is mostly a social atheist organization, which is always good to have a community around you.
Yeah, it's not really anything that go out and protest or anything. It's a bunch of people that who are non-believers,
who have nothing else to do on Easter,
and don't want anything to do on Easter except maybe go out and tip a few.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually half the reason they have the American Atheist Conventions on Easter Sunday weekend, is because they're like, well, partially we get good rates on hotels because nobody's doing anything that weekend.
Yeah.
And he's like, an atheist obviously have nothing to do on Easter weekend. So it seems, and a lot of people are off work that weekend too.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's for all those reasons. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of how they actually had a lot of some atheist organizations did a bar crawl the day that they had Harold Camping predicted would be the end of the world.
Yeah, I was part of that. That was fun.
That would have been fun.
That people were supposed to what is the word that they used?
Raptured.
And we went around to a bunch of bars in Harrisburg, usually along 2nd Street there. And what I did was that I took along an extra set of clothes and a pair of shoes. And what I did was at some of these places, I would set the clothes up on the chair and the pants and the shoes, so it looked like someone had been raptured right out of their clothes. And it was a humorous thing. We even had one place that named a drink after us. Do you remember what the heck that was, that drink? All I know is that it was a very, very strong drink.
Yeah. But one last thing I want to talk about. Last episode, we were talking about secular AA, but due to some technical difficulties, we couldn't get all the information on your screen for We Agnostics. So we're going to post some of the information that we didn't get to you last week on the screen now. So that's all the reminders I have. So I'll turn it.
Did you do the shows?
Yeah, I already did that.
Sorry.
I'll hand it back to Doug. You got something you looking into for the 28th, aren't you? That episode on the 28th.
Yeah. However, before I get to that, folks, CNN has a special feature tonight entitled "Atheist Inside the World of Non-Believers," and like I said, that will be on CNN tonight at 9 p.m. So if you want to look inside the world of atheists and what they do on holidays, and
it's going to have interviews by for the people I've heard confirmed for the show will be David Silverman, the president of American Atheists, also Jerry DeWitt, opposite end of the spectrum there as far as atheist activists. Jerry DeWitt, of course, former Pentecostal preacher for 25 years, and is now doing work with places like Recovering from Religion, which, as we mentioned last episode, just launched the Atheist Hotline, the Hotline Project, rather. And of course, what atheist documentary would be complete without an interview with Richard Dawkins?
Yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah, but that's coming up tonight at 9 p.m. And they also just put out an article about atheists as well. Well, CNN, that is.
Yeah, I don't think we have it up on the screen, but I can give it to you if you'd like to look at it. And that is www.cnn.com/interactive, all one word, /2015 /living /again friendly atheists next door / have you got that on?
Just Google CNN, the Friendly Atheist
I'm
Next
sure
Door.
You'll find it.
Yeah, the name of the article is the Friendly Atheist Next Door. Just Google it or search it on the CNN search browser. But I had a chance to look over it a little bit. I haven't had a chance to go too in depth about it. It's actually a very long article, going through the ins and outs of this former Catholic family, and I think they do a really, really good job with it. They really talk about how the process that people go through when coming to terms with their non-belief, and some of the repercussions of it. How it's really, I think it's a really good and fair representation of of atheists in America and how they've arrived at the position they are. So I'm really it's really exciting to see CNN taking interest in this. It could be because it could be a real changer for years to come. I mean, we always saw what Time Magazine did to the Church of Scientology. Maybe CNN, although that was kind of a poor effect, but I think CNN could definitely the CNN publicity could really go a long way for the atheist movement.
Yeah, well, I mean, people do tend to falsely believe that, we're a bunch of devil worshippers and we're evil people. Well, I can assure you that if we don't believe in God, we sure as heck don't believe in the devil or want to worship anyone or any deity. Right. So that in itself is a fallacy. And just for your own information, CNN also, if you tune into CNN, if you get onto www.cnn.com and then videos like that, they have another piece there about atheism Bible Belt origin. .cnn. Anyway, it's a short video by CNN on atheism, and yeah, I'm looking forward to viewing it. And so, have you got anything else at this time in that vein? If not,
I'll come back to it later. If you can go on what you were talking about first.
Okay. Blasphemy. Jesus Christ. Is that blasphemy? Is it just a word? You can say, God damn you. Is it a prayer? Or are you literally saying that you want God to damn someone? Well, that really, in most people's eyes, that's blasphemy. Well, that will be the subject of the April 28th edition of the Free Thought Forum. That's 1 month from today. And I will be discussing the history of blasphemy and what the word describes and the context in which some words and phrases are considered blasphemous and offensive while being completely benign to others. Of course, being politically incorrect as I am, we will be uttering a few examples simply for your edification, of course. Like that. So be sure to tune in on Tuesday, April the 28th at 6 p.m. on the same bat time, the same bat channel right here. And remember, this is, as always, a live call-in show, and we welcome your comments and questions on air. If you have any questions right now, give us a call.
On the subject of blasphemy, I think this would be a good time to talk about our St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yes.
Which is held this last weekend in Harrisburg. And this is an annual thing we do. We usually do it in York and Harrisburg, although we missed York this year. Hopefully we'll get it back next year. But we march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. And you'll have a couple of photos and photos coming up on your screen here shortly. And it's always a fun time. Just getting out there, getting some public, getting out in the vision of the public. And there was actually a lot of positive response this time. Actually, as we walked by, there was some people just applauding and cheering for us. A couple of nasty looks from the crowd. But overall, I thought the response was very positive, and it was a really good time.
I've done it several times too, and the people are amazingly friendly. Yeah, very friendly.
But the real reason we want to get out there, especially in the St. Patrick's Day parade, is to raise awareness for the blasphemy laws that still exist in Ireland. And well, actually, still exist is kind of a weird thing to say, because actually, for a time they were repealed, and then they were put back into place in 2009 with the Defamation Act. So, this is kind of weird that it's just come back on them.
Yeah, and of course there are still atheist laws on the books today here in the United States. Just that no one uses them to penalize.
That is, well, actually, we saw in Bedford last year they can be used.
Yeah,
that is true. Like, well, I mean, it's not an explicit blasphemy law, but it can be interpreted that way. Mm-hmm. But it's not like in Ireland where you can actually be fined tens of thousands of dollars for what they consider to be blasphemy. And
there's no appeal from it. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so we really support that. The Atheists in Ireland, which, if you want to see their website, is www.atheist.ie. And I would definitely check it out. They have all kinds of content and information about various campaigns. We talked about them at length last year, so I'm not going to go into all the detail here. But among their campaigns are to repeal the blasphemy law, to get a secular constitution, which they, in the preambles to their constitution, there's talk of God, which actually I find a little frightening myself, because there have been at least 3 occasions where they tried to do the same thing to the U.S. Constitution. Mm-hmm. The last one was in 1954, and that was about the same point that Under God went into the Pledge of Allegiance and
on our money.
Yeah, on our paper money. So it was like, it probably was a lot closer than I'd be comfortable with to that happening. So, I look at Ireland going, we might have just been a few people away from being that. So, that's why we do support what the atheists in Ireland so much, and we really, really are hoping they can accomplish their goals.
Yeah, and the old saying goes that if fanatics come knocking at your door, they will probably be carrying an American flag or a flag with them, and it's so easy for the zealots out there to say that religion must be in our Constitution. It has to be in government and everything, and it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. It's a religion-free government that is what we strive for, and all people should strive for.
Right. I mean, we defend the rights to practice religion, but not to impose religion.
Exactly.
Is what it really comes down to, and that's what the people in Ireland are facing. So that's all I had to say on that subject. If you want to go back to you.
Okay. The other day I was flipping through the TV channels, actually last week, and I noted one case on Court TV. I think it was the Justice for All. Okay, and it kind of caught my interest because it was kind of had to do with freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of expression and everything. And the case was about this person who liked to decorate his house and yard for all holidays, Easter, Christmas, and if it was like Veterans Day, he'd put out flags. Anyway, what he did was last Halloween, he spent a lot of money, and he bought all these Halloween decorations. A paper mache skull with your blood shooting out of the top of it, and it was really quite a festive thing. He did this about 3 days before Halloween. unfortunately, evidently his neighbor objected to one of these Halloween decorations, actually to the whole thing. And last year, he took it upon himself to correct what he called objectionable display by his neighbor. Admittedly, the decorations were a little over the top last year, and with the bloody skulls and all this other stuff, but it was all in good fun. All the kids were out and going, ooh, ah, look at that. Like that. But this, the plaintiff said that it was not appropriate for his child to see. Okay, and some were even satanic in nature. Now, but then again, isn't this what Halloween is all about? But in jest, okay? It's about ghosts that go boo, yeah, and the undead that go bump in the night. People like to be scared. Well, the plaintiff in this case put out, like I said, $2,000 worth of decorations in his yard, which he had done so for the past 4 years.
And now, one thing I note that's interesting is they call things like ghosts and witches satanic, but they aren't actually satanic in origin.
No,
I mean,
but that's not if you consider the Holy Ghost.
Right. Well, that is true too. Yeah. A ghost could actually be Christian in nature. Yeah. Now that you talk about it that way.
But the defendant admitted that he intentionally snuck into the plaintiff's yard after midnight and trespassed and proceeded to destroy the decorations that this person had put out, and then sort of hide them behind the plaintiff's house. So it was totally out of sight. He said that the decorations were scaring his, I think it was a 10-year-old son. Well, I've got news for you. If you've got a 10-year-old son and you haven't explained to him by now, or he doesn't know what Halloween is all about, you're doing something wrong bringing up your kid. But the person even admitted that he had talked with his child and told him all about Halloween. Just as a good Christian, they were not going to celebrate it, and they were not going to go out and trick or treat. The judge did not agree with his moral right to go out and destroy his neighbor's Halloween decorations, and awarded the plaintiff the $2,000 that he was seeking to replace the decorations. $2,000 anyway. And the judge mentioned that no one has a right to be not offended. So I thought it was kind of interesting that someone like that, who claimed to be a good Christian, really took it upon themselves to trespass and destroy someone else's property just because he didn't see fit, and he was a Christian. So,
well, there is biblical basis for doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's with the separation of church and state. That's not how you go about it. If you find something objectionable, there are avenues to go to pursue. Whether you talk to the person individually, if it's something that might be considered illegal, you could actually get a court order to have it taken down.
Well, the defendant didn't want to do that, like that. But after getting $2,000 worth of decorations destroyed, the plaintiff in this case decided that he was going to take legal action, and won, which I thought was fantastic.
it kind of reminds me of another story that just has been developing in Florida, where a woman went into I think they had a satanic display at the Capitol because they had like some sort of Christian display there as well. And a woman came in and kind of wrecked the satanic display, and I think she was even trying to carry it out the door, and she was arrested for doing it. But just over the past week, we've seen the charges got dismissed, and the DA cited lack of evidence. And
that's better. Sorry, Jacob.
Yeah, sorry, it's a camera
cameras.
Yeah, but the DA cited lack of evidence, which is kind of crazy because they had witnesses, they had a camera of her doing it, and her confession. Like, she actually said she did it and why she did it. I'm like, and he cited lack of evidence, saying that they couldn't prove that it was damaged because it kind of looked terrible to begin with. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they could have pursued that in that case, where they're like, well, this stuff looks half destroyed already. Maybe, how do you know it was destroyed?
Yeah, well, I mean, hell, he could have gone to the neighborhood watch or the homeowners association or something like that and complained like that. But, you know, that was for a couple of days a year, and it was going to be taken down anyway. And evidently everyone on his street had decorations, and the kids were dressed in their, you know, in their costumes, satanic, some of them.
Yeah. Actually, I remember there was this one Law and Order episode where the theme of it was like this dad killed like some guy because he was afraid that guy was corrupting his daughter and that he would get divine wrath upon himself, was his defense.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a rather interesting episode of Law and Order. But I can't remember exactly how it finished, but
I mean, it does bring to light the fact that so many people feel that they have an absolute right to take the law into their own hands, or what they perceive is not necessarily the law, but their right to not be offended. And
that's this thing. It's you know, that atheists have to be careful about that we don't do the same thing. And I remember when, you know, in Oklahoma, when they discovered somebody had driven over the Ten Commandments monument, you know, all the major atheist organizations came right out and condemned it. Like, you know, if this was an atheist, we absolutely unambiguously condemn this act. Well, I mean, they condemned it either way, but it was like, if this was an atheist, you know, do not do this. This is, you know, we were fighting this battle in court. We don't take it into our own hands and destroy it ourselves.
Well, that's been sort of the history of atheism for many, many, many years now. You know, we don't want to take things in the law into our own hands. We want to settle things in court and show that.
And sometimes it doesn't even go to court. The FFRF has found that sometimes all it takes is a letter, you know, asking them to stop doing this.
But the nice thing about it is that now, because of the atheist position in the community, people that before would have sort of fluffed off the atheists and said, "Oh, you know, get lost. You can't hurt us." Now they realize that they've got to spend some big money defending themselves in court.
Yeah. And what's also helping the atheist community is the Satanists have become a little bit more empowered too. Yeah. I mean, you've seen what they've started to do over the last few few years now, and not that I'm encouraging like Satanism, but I'm just saying that looking at, they're probably even scarier to the religious than just atheists. But
and I mean there are Satanists out there, devil worshippers like that. But
I should point out one thing though, that not all Satanists actually believe that in a literal Satan. Mm-hmm. Some of them do, and some don't. Some are just really
for the ritual.
Yeah, or they're just trying to offend people, like
as much as
it's just a shock value thing sometimes.
Yeah,
I mean, some are not actually, but there are Satanists that do believe in a literal Satan, but not all of them do.
Yeah, I mean, people may call the Satanists atheist, but in actuality, anyone that is a true atheist doesn't believe in Satan.
Right. And actually, one time when I told someone I was an atheist, they asked if I believed in Satan.
Yeah.
I've had that, and I see people in the studio raising their hands saying the same thing.
Why do you believe in Satan? Why do you
worship Yeah.
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 And it's an assumption. They don't say, do you believe in Satan? They say, why do you believe? It's like the old joke, when did you stop beating your wife?
Yeah.
It goes back many, many years. But, obvious answer is, well, I never beat my wife. But the fact that you put it, when did you stop beating your wife, it puts that frame of mind into people's heads.
Right.
But like I said, I've never been into any atheist gathering, meeting, or anything that's had anything satanic about it.
Right.
I mean, it's not something that we're interested in. Why on earth would we believe in a Satan, a devil, if we don't believe in a God?
Right.
Both characters
I try to explain to people it's a package deal.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So anyway, were you looking at something here?
Yeah, I have a couple of news stories from around the movement that I wanted to talk about.
Right.
The first one is Dale McGowan has announced he will be stepping down as executive director of Foundation Beyond Belief. He's been the executive director since the beginning of Foundation Beyond Belief, and he's mostly just stepping down because he wants to do something else, is from the sounds of it, to pursue other matters. And we really do wish him the best. I mean, we've been a big supporter of Foundation Beyond Belief and everything they've done. And
there's a nice photo of him.
Yeah, and Dale McGowan has just done a lot of really good things for the movement. In addition to Foundation Beyond Belief, he was the co-author of the book Parenting Beyond Belief, and he's also done some other writings and talks, trying with advice for secular parenting, and how to raise a free thinking child. And that doesn't necessarily mean a non-religious child, because he's as one thing he stated, he's had a lot of questions of like, how do I raise my kid and not be guilty of the same indoctrination my parents did? Mm-hmm. And that's been a concern among secular parents, and he's done a lot of work to help that as well. In addition to everything, all the great stuff he's done with Foundation Beyond Belief. So to hear him, it's kind of a little sad to see him go as director of Foundation Beyond Belief, but you're kind of excited. What could he do now? What could he do now that he has more time? Mm-hmm. So we really do wish him the best. He's definitely one of the bright spots of the movement, and I really wish, hope for the best for him in the future.
There's room for everyone. I mean,
Right.
there's. I don't say that. I want them to get rid of religion, because I don't.
Right.
Like that. I may kid around like that, and people think, "Oh boy, he hates religion, and if he could get rid of religion, that Doug would." And that's far from being the truth. Religion has its place for some people, but for others, like me and Jacob and others are part of our organization, it doesn't really have a place. It's a non-entity like that. And of course, being different from the majority of the people, yes, of course, we want to press our point, and we want more people to be on our side. But then again, that's what Christianity has done right from the start.
And one thing that I like what Thomas Paine wrote in the beginning of the Age of Reason is he said something to the effect of, don't think I'm saying that no one can hold a contrary opinion to mine. And he said something to the effect of, if I were to deny someone's own opinion, deny someone their opinion, their right to an opinion, I become a slave to my own.
Yes.
And I thought that was a very, very good point. Is because if you don't have a counter, it's kind of weird when you don't have a counter opinion. You just become locked into the same idea with no challenge to it. And if you're not having your ideas challenged, sometimes it's hard to tell whether or not they're really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you don't really get a good foundation for why you think the way you do. But the other news story is a little bit of a sour note, but I feel the necessity to bring it up, is an unfolding scandal in the organization We Are Atheism. This is an out-of-the-closet campaign organization that started in 2011, and they started doing some charity work in 2012, collecting donations for to aid in different disasters or even just different tragedies throughout America. And the problem is they were in 2012, when they were collecting donations, they were advertising they were a nonprofit, meaning that their donations were tax deductible. The problem is they didn't actually file for nonprofit status until 2014, which is, the IRS might take some offense at that.
Well, they can also stop people's donations.
Right. Well, now they
make
did
them taxable.
Yeah. Well, I should make note that they actually, when the IRS, the IRS does try to work with people who maybe jumped the gun a little bit, because apparently, even though they didn't file until 2014, the IRS still made them a nonprofit retroactive to May of 2013.
Oh, that was good.
But unfortunately, that doesn't cover all the donations they took under that advertisement. But it's not like the IRS is. Well, I know this is a weird time of year to be defending the IRS, but
yeah,
they do. From what I've been able to, the information I've been able to collect on what's going on here is they do try to, when people are working towards a nonprofit, they can sometimes count them as a nonprofit then. Although it's generally not advised that you do not do that. That if you're going to take donations as a nonprofit, you wait until you have the paperwork all done saying that yes, you are a nonprofit. Because if it falls through for some reason, it can be problematic.
And a little costly too.
Yeah, and this was and after this was reported, a few former board members of We Are Atheism came forward and said there was also some questionable accounting and some of the bookkeeping, and there's a bit of an investigation. We don't have all the information on it right now, but I want to make it people aware who might be donors to this organization or maybe thinking about it to maybe hold off on that until an investigation has been completed on this whole affair.
But you also have to remember to, and please be aware of the fact that Pennsylvania non-believers, us, or PAN, are a non-profit 501c3 organizations, and all donations that you make to us are legally tax deductible.
Yeah,
that
we
have filed for the paperwork, and I can guarantee you we don't make a profit.
Yeah. That the law allows.
Yeah, the law allows. Don't think that, oh yeah, you can just go out and, oh, I'll donate $1 million to Pennsylvania non-believers. Not that we wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we'd love that, but there are certain laws. So if you are a big charity person and you like to give money to organization, then it behooves you to check into the legality of it. But like I said, we are a legal 501c3 corporation.
Right.
And we are incorporated.
Right. And that's actually why it wasn't made retroactive past May 2013, is because that's when We Are Atheism was incorporated. Mm-hmm. And before that, it wasn't. And so they said, the IRS pretty much said, we can't go back any further than that, because it really almost, in a legal sense, it didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So that's just where that stands. Obviously, the story started coming, the information for this story just started coming out late last week, so it's still just kind of in the early phases. We don't know everything. We're still waiting on statements from everybody, so just be aware of it. Hopefully it's not as bad as it might look.
Very true. I mean, the jury's still out, so
right,
to speak, on it. But as anything, if you're going to send money to someone, know what you're sending money to, because there are so many scams out there nowadays. I mean, you see warnings about all these scams on the news, and you can't help but wonder, how many people are there out there that I haven't heard about that are trying to scam someone. Someone comes knocking on your door and say, "Hey, I'm in the neighborhood here, and I do roofs, and I happen to notice that your roof really is in bad need of repair. If you'd like, I'll be glad to take a closer look and give you a quote." And you say, "Yeah, okay, well, free quote, go ahead and do it." Then they give it a look over and give you all this bad news. Yep. You need this, this, and this, and all it will do is you have to put $1,000 down payment on it, and we can start on it next week. Like that, and that's the last you'll see of your $1,000
But I mean, and that's but I mean, there could be some honest mistakes made as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But
That's what I don't want the implication that this is a scam or something. That We Are Atheism was a scam. I don't want that impression given.
No, I didn't mean to give it.
Yeah, that.
So if you had a question in your head that possibly they might interpret it as that, I'm glad that you jumped in. And,
yeah. So just be aware of that. Hope you try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but let's see until we got all the information in. But one one final thing I've been meaning to do this for a while now is, I'm a big reader of atheist material.
Believe me, he is.
Yeah. Where I've read dozens of books since I've started identifying as an atheist, and I'd like to occasionally you'll see me do a whole episode sometimes talking about a new book, but I'll try. I've been kind of wanting to maybe make a few short segments about some decent books out there to discuss and take a look at. Although one just came out that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. It's out in hard copy. The Kindle version will be coming out on April 1st, and that is a new book by Dan Barker called The Life-Driven Purpose. I didn't realize this was coming out, but it just now coming out.
Sort of a play on words of that other gentleman.
The Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah, Purpose-Driven
by
Life.
Rick Warren.
Yeah.
Which is, in that book he just pretty much says like the purpose of life is to make God happy.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's the whole idea of it, was to play off of that, to show atheists do have meaning and purpose and fulfillment. And I remember hearing Dan Barker talk about it, and he said, atheists don't say there's purpose of life, they say there's purpose in life. Mm-hmm. Which is, I think, an interesting distinction.
And it's usually the purpose that you put in it. You make you make your own life.
Right. But again, I haven't had a chance to look at that book yet. But just something that just came out. If you want to take a look at that, I'll probably be doing a review of that in a later episode. But today, the book I wanted to take a look at is the book called Jesus Interrupted by Bart Ehrman. And and I should say Bart Ehrman is a very well-known biblical scholar, particularly specializes in the New Testament. And I mean, he's actually a graduate of Moody Bible Institute and Princeton Theological Seminary. In fact, that's kind of where he started losing his faith.
There's some credentials.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he went to Princeton, and he heard there was like these liberal professors there, and he thought he could go there and straighten them out. Mm-hmm. But what he soon found out was actually they're right, that there are numerous irresolvable problems with the Bible. And one thing he found was sometimes he'd give talks at churches about it. And people would tell him afterwards, they're like, wow, I've never heard about that before. Why haven't I heard about that? And he'd kind of look at the pastor who he knew went to Princeton along with him, and he went, yeah, I wonder why you've never heard about that. So mm-hmm. This book was really his effort to just say, this is what they're teaching pastors, and they're not telling you. I mean, it wasn't. I'd say this isn't explicitly an atheist book, but I think every atheist should read it. It's kind of weird, but you'll understand what I say if you read it.
You kind of wonder, though, how many people, clergy, that are out there that have been in clergy all their life and started off with an absolutely firm belief in the scriptures, and although they may not necessarily come out and say so, I wonder how many of them start to have those little doubts that are creeping into their head, but of course they won't necessarily say anything, and they don't want to admit it to any.
I'd point out at this moment, I don't know how many, the specific number, but I think there are several hundred members in the Clergy Project. I know there are at least 100 members, probably about. Yeah, I haven't looked at a recent number, but we're into triple digits in the Clergy Project of current and former ministers who no longer believe.
I mean, but the more that you learn about religion, unfortunately, the more that you question it, and the more doubts that you have, and you tend to start leaning toward non-belief. And that really scares the established religions. That they don't want people to learn too much.
But in this book, he begins by, well, he